Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance. So I was going through Home Depot's tool section, came across these Crescent double joint pliers. I had never really seen anything work the way that they do, so I was checking those out, but I wasn't a real big fan of their handle. And again, it's nothing against that handle. It felt comfortable in my hand. I'm just not a big fan of thicker handles. You know, sometimes you have to get them if you're buying an insulated tool or something like that, or maybe that tool that you're wanting, that company's the only brand that makes it, and that's the handle you're stuck with. You know, and it doesn't bother me to use those handles. It's just if I have a preference, as I mentioned before, I like dipped handles and things like that. And again, I had never seen a pair of pliers that does this. So you guys comment below. I'm probably going to get a comment that says such and such brand has had these for, 20, 30 years. So if that's the case, I don't know how they slip past me because I check out tools all the time. The only thing I can think is, as I walk through a tool section, if I saw these hanging on the pegboard or whatever that is, I probably just assumed it was another pair of extended reach long nose pliers like these, or needle nose is what I call them all the time, but I've been told that that's wrong. But I really like these from Knipex. These are the 2871 280s, and I really like how these have multiple different ways to kind of grab stuff, because that's typically what you're going to do with extended reach pliers, so you can get in somewhere and pull something out or whatever it is. So I really, really like these, and maybe I just assumed that these were just another pair of these, and it's just a different brand as I saw them inside the store. But that led me down a rabbit hole when I saw that Crescent one. I'm like, well, what other brands are there? What handles could I get on this? So I started searched on Amazon. I found the Crescent ones there. I also found some gear wrench ones that kind of had some handles that were more my style, a few other brands, but ultimately I saw that Lowe's had some in stock, so I went to Lowe's to see what they had, found them on the shelf, and that's how I ended up with these Irwin Vise-Grips. I've had several of their pliers before. In fact, that's primarily kind of what I use for the most part until I swapped over to Knipex, and I really like their pliers. There's nothing wrong with any of them, so I was checking these out, and the handles on these are basically a blue version of the Knipex dipped handles. These are that dipped, but they also got that little bit of a texture to them, so very similar. So I decided I was going to go ahead and get these for one. They were only $17.98, so $5 cheaper than the Crescent, and they had the handles that I prefer. So again, I only bought these more so because of the handles. I think they all operate in the same way, and you might be thinking, well, why would I want a pair of these? Well, for starters, they're already a couple inches longer. You know, I think the typical size for a pair of these is around 11 inches, which is what these are, whereas these Irwins are 13 and a quarter, and by what I can tell, most of the double joint or compound joint, again, it depends on, it's hard to search for these because the brands all call them different things, so I'll try to put links to as many different brands as I found while I was searching for these in the description, so you can check them out. Maybe you'll like one pair more than the other, because I think for the most part they all work the same. It's just a matter of if you prefer a certain grip or not. But one is you're getting 13 and a quarter inch long pair of pliers here instead of 11 inch, so maybe there's some times where you just needed that extra little bit to be able to get to whatever it is that you're going to. Well, they offer these in the straight, which the part number on these is 192001211M. That's the straight, as far as just your standard straight up and down. And then they also offer a 45-degree bent in, which is 192001143N, and they're also 13 and a quarter inches. So again, they're a little bit cheaper than the Crescents. They're $17.98. They got the handles that I like, and they're longer, so there's going to be times where that's going to be helpful. But that's not the main thing that is nice about these, because again, with them being the compound joint, you can see as I open them here, this would be what your standard, this is the spot where your standard long nose pliers will be opening. Well, it goes up, comes back in, and goes back out again. So that's why it's that double joint, compound joint, versus instead of just having the one there. So what that allows for you to do, it allows you to open the pliers wider. This is 2 3/4 inch opening here with my handles at this spot, versus if I open up the Knipex all the way, I get about 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit bigger right there, and the handles are actually wider open than what these Irwins are, and I'm getting a lot more opening on my jaws. So again, you can get in a tighter spot. So whether it's an engine bay, some kind of a drain or whatever it might be, I'm going to use this PVC pipe as an example of that. let's say I stick these Knipex, just your standard one joint plier in there, and I take it to the point where I can still open the handle, because if I stick it in here, you know, I'm obviously not going to be able to open that. So let's pull it back just to this point right here, and if I open that up, you know, I'm only able to get that much of a jaw open at that point. So whatever that is, it's a small amount. So if I'm trying to get to, you know, that right there, I can still get in there. I can still get to that. But if I need something bigger that I'm trying to fish out, I can't open up my jaws and get to that bolt right there, because that head is too big. You know, so that's the widest point that I could get, would be something along this size right here. Versus if I use the compound joint, I'm only going to use the straight ones today because it's what I have there, but both of these operate in the same exact way. If I stick these into that handle point, and again, even just to show you, if I kind of line these handles up, because these grips go up a little further, but I'm putting that in about the same spot that I put these at. Look how much wider that head opens up there compared to that bolt head. I could barely even remotely get those around it. Look how much more room I had to go in there and get that and pull that back out. I mean, it's at least double, if not triple, the amount of opening that I have there. If I stick these in at the same time, maybe I can show you. So again, I'm going to put these in the same exact spot up so that the handles are hitting in the same place. You're looking at that difference right there. It's dramatic how much wider that those go open. So are there going to be times where it wouldn't matter because you can't open your pliers up that much anyways? Absolutely. But again, these are going to be a tool to me that are going to be, there's some times where nothing else is going to work besides these right here. So it's worth it to have that investment, to have these on me at all times, so that I can go through some tight spot. I've dropped something down a drain or whatever it is, I can get in there, can open up those jaws wide enough to be able to grab that and pull it back out, where I'm never going to be able to do that with something like this, depending upon how deep that it is, because it's just not going to open up wide enough to allow me to grab a hold of that in any way. And again, on top of it, I've got a couple more inches of length with this, so even if I have a pair of these, I think it's nice to have this just to have a little bit longer pair. But if you're going to get a longer pair, you might want to think about getting you a compound joint or double jaw, or again, whatever they call it, whatever brand you like. But that's what these do differently than your standard needle nose pliers. So yeah, guys, that's the Irwin Vise-Grip compound joint long reach pliers. That's a mouthful. Again, they have the 45-degree or bent head, or just your standard long nose head. Again, let me know in the comments below if you guys have had something like these for a long time. What brands you've had, what brands you've used, how often you find yourself using them. Again, it's not going to be a tool that I use every day. They're too long to keep in my tool bag anyways, but they're going to go in my drawers in my truck, so that few times a year that something comes up that maybe I can't get to it with these that are in my bag, but it's going to be more useful for me to just walk out to my truck and get a pair of these, because it's going to help me out in that situation. I mean, for $17.98, if I use them 2 or 3 times in my lifetime, that's going to save me some kind of a, you know, just painful experience. I think it's well worth it. But you guys let me know in the comments below, again, if you've used these, some other brand, whatever it is. I'm interested to hear your feedback on that, but I hope it was useful in some way. You guys stay safe, have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video.